he helped load her into the helicopter, and we prayed on the way down to the hospital just that everything would be okay. And as I think most people will say, you never think something like that's going to happen to you. And I remember us just focusing on the fact that she had a really good blood pressure. And in my mind, that was denying the fact that she wasn't going to survive. And when we got to the hospital, I distinctly remember a physician coming out and telling us that things did not look good. And that's when reality set into me that there was a chance she may not be coming home with us. That happened about 4:30 in the afternoon, and at midnight, the nurses really kind of took to my dad. My dad was kind of the rock the entire night. He was the communicator between the nurses and us, and I remember him coming to us and telling us that they had completed a first brain death exam and that they would do another one in the morning, but that if she did not have any brain activity at that time, that she would be pronounced that she has already died, even though she was on a breathing machine. And then the next morning, through that night, I remember just being exhausted, and you're in a state of shock, so everything's kind of a blur. But I remember that next morning at 6 a.m., a physician coming in and telling us that she was brain dead, and in the same sentence asked us if we wanted to donate her organs. And I do remember being very angry about it, feeling that it was insensitive. It didn't feel like there was a lot of empathy there. And I did make a commitment at that point in time that I wanted to make a difference in how families were approached for organ donation. So we did say yes to donation. My sister, we had never spoken about it. I mean, at that age, you don't think anything like that would happen to you. But we knew the type of person she was, and we knew that without a doubt she would want to make a difference. I do remember asking, not myself, but my mom asking if we could designate her organs to a child because my sister had such a love for children. And they told us that they couldn't do that, but there was a chance that a child would receive one of her gifts. So my dad just, like I said, he was a rock through that entire night. I don't remember seeing him break down. I'm assuming that he did, but I don't remember seeing that happen. I remember when they brought up donation after the gentleman left the room, my dad feeling that this was something that we should do. It's something that she would have wanted to do, and that we had to make something good come out of this tremendous loss that we were now experiencing. Yeah.
So how did that affect your family afterwards, like your sister's death?
Well, I can tell you, long term for me, how it's affected me. I think short term, it's something that you think maybe you'll get over. I think at that point in time, thinking about 20 years down the road where I would be, it still gets to me. I do a lot of presentations in the community, and I talk about how donation changed our lives as a family, as somebody who thought it would never happen to us. And I try to encourage people to think about it. But I feel like her death has caused me to make a huge impact on our community as well, on the people that I get to meet. I don't always share the story of my sister. I will never use that as in a coercive manner to tell a family that this is what they should do. But if a family has already said yes to donation, I'll let them know what comfort it brought our family and what meaning it's brought to us, knowing that she made such a huge difference to other families who were then given that hope that we talked about.
Did your sister, did you ever meet or hear of anybody that received your sister's organs?
I have. I've actually had the pleasure of meeting one of those recipients. She was I believe she was 1. Don't quote me on that age, but I think she was 1 when she received the gift of my sister's kidney. And she's now, I think, 21 years old and living a full life. I have got to go out with her and speak in the community about donation. And I think the fact that we go out together and I'll talk about my sister's story, and then I'll bring her up on stage. Nobody knows who she is, that nobody knows why she's coming up, and then I'll share with people that this was one of the people that my sister affected through organ donation. And it's powerful. She's so appreciative of the fact that she's had 20 years of pretty much a healthy life. I've not been able to meet any of the other recipients, but meeting her alone has been phenomenal. I shared with Christy the fact that when I came to work for Life Center in 1993, which was 2 years after my sister's death, I sent letters to the recipients letting them know a little bit about my sister. It's confidential, donation's confidential, but letting them know a little bit about who she was. I did send pictures of her, And several months later, when I was actually able to meet this little girl and her mom shared with me a story that when she saw the pictures of my sister had beautiful blonde hair. And Leah, who's the recipient, she has jet black hair. And when Leah saw the picture of my sister, she said, Mommy, I'm going to have blonde hair finally. So I think she was probably 3 or 4 at that point in time. But I think that was obviously very touching. And then she sent my parents a Christmas card. I'm guessing she was probably 7 or 8, and it had a picture of an angel on the outside of the card that she had drawn, an angel with blonde, very long hair, and it said something to the effect of, I know that it must be so hard that Dee Dee is no longer with you, but she is my guardian angel in heaven. And that meant a lot to us as well. So we're one of the lucky families. A lot of times families don't get to meet. I feel very lucky that I've gotten to meet her. My parents have never got to meet her, and that's one of the thoughts that I had that would be so touching for them, I think, is to finally get to meet this little girl that they've heard so much about. It's just not ever happened. Not because we haven't wanted it to, but it just hasn't happened.
So your dad and your mom have never met her?
Right.
Have they wanted to, or they just haven't?
I think that they would like to. It's just not something, I think it's something that's still very difficult for, especially my mom. It's something she wholeheartedly believes in. It's something that she's, I think, very proud that they made that decision to do. But I think it brings back a lot of emotion, meeting that person who has my sister's kidney, for lack of better words. I mean, she's alive and functioning very well today because of that gift. And I think sometimes the emotion of that, I don't know if it's prevented them from meeting her. I think it just hasn't happened. My mom absolutely loves to hear about her. She loves to hear that she's doing well. She enjoyed getting the Christmas card from her several years ago. It's just not something that's happened, but I can't really give you, I don't think there's really a good reason why. It's not because they haven't wanted to.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. You want to pause it?
Sure.